positive, and Asia markets also have opened on a positive note, and we have all seen that the oil prices in fact have corrected slightly there. In fact, if you look at the Wall Street indices itself, the Nasdaq was up close to around 3.4% in trade, booking its biggest rally gain in the last 5 months. This is after we did see the correction in oil prices, as well as we did see some amount of correction coming in terms of the US 10-year bond yield. The bond yields, of course, did fall in trade as well to nearly around 1.5%. The Treasury yields pulled back from the recent highs, fell around 5 basis points to 1.54% after trading around the 1.6% mark on Monday, as the first in a string of auctions this week did go smoothly without disrupting the markets, and I guess this is a slightly comforting sign, at least at the moment. In fact, if you look at the Nasdaq, also the Nasdaq 100 climbed 4% as stocks with higher valuations did rebound. Tesla did jump in trade at close to around 20%. The move snapped an earlier rotation into value shares amid fresh US stimulus as well as the vaccination pickup. The recent winners, such as the financials as well as the energy sectors, were the only S&P 500 group stocks which did retreat. The Dow Jones rose close to around 30 points to close at 31,833. S&P rose 54 points at 3875, and Nasdaq rose close to around 465 points to close at 13,074. Dow futures were flat overnight. If you look at the Asia shares, of course, traded on a positive note on the back of rebound. In fact, we did see some amount of rub-off effect coming in on the positive sentiment in the US equity markets. Australian shares traded flat, while Nikkei and Topics traded positive. In Japan's Nikkei rose close to around 0.63% in trade. Topics index was up close to around 0.23%, and stocks in Australia were flat, trading flat largely at around 67.73. European stocks ended on Tuesday on a slightly higher note, extending the gains from their best session in the 4 months a day earlier, as the rise in shares of oil and utility companies helped counter the losses in miners. Miners fell nearly around 1.8% as Dalian iron ore futures tumbled by close to around 10% daily limit on anti-pollution restrictions in China's top steel-making city of Tangzhou, while metal prices were also hit by a firm dollar. In fact, investors would be closely watching out for the European Central Bank meeting later this week. The European stock 600 rose 0.8%, while the utility sector rose close to around 1.5%. FTSE index were up close to around 0.2% and 0.4% respectively, while CAC was down close to around 0.4%. Oil prices did take some breather on account of profit booking. Crude oil prices Brent crude did fall by nearly around 1.54% to close at $67.2 per barrel, and WTI futures traded flat at nearly around $63.9 per barrel. If you look at the gold prices, also the gold rallied 2.1% in trade to close at $14 an ounce after US Treasury yields did take some breather. Gold futures were trading down by 0.16% at $14 an ounce in early morning trade.